Goat Squad TV. So I just want to make this video, man. First off, I want to salute Dame Lillard as a player and as a human. I think Dame Lillard's an incredible human being. I don't know him personally, but what I see from basketball player, rapper, committee work, name it, you can't go wrong with Dame Lillard. So I'm not taking any shots at Dame. I hope he works things out in Portland or finds a way to get to a team out east that's not the Boston Celtics, maybe like the New York Knicks, or a lot of people sit there and say we need to trade Jaylen Brown or trade other guys just to get Damian Lillard. I got to remind you guys of recent history. We've been burned recently by point guards. The Kemba signing didn't go well. It was high price, no reward. Kyrie signing, it wasn't a signing, but it was a trade. Didn't work out because ultimately he ended up leaving. Not only did he end up leaving, he ended up beating your team 2 years later in insulting the Celtics organization by stepping on the logo. Whether you agree with that or not, it's what it is. But the Celtics need to stay away from high price point guards. Dame Lillard is owed he's getting paid $252 million. Get A-Rod money. He still has a lot of money on that contract. You figure it's not just about you would not only have to trade, you might have to trade both Jaylen and Jason to be able to match the money on top of other players to get Dame. If I'm the Celtics, I'm not doing that. And I mean no disrespect to Dame Lillard. It's Dame Lillard we're talking about here. Unlike Kemba, Dame's a little more of a proven commodity in the playoffs. And he's won. He hasn't won a title, but he's won. And, he's a much better teammate than Kyrie Irving. But, however, he's 31. He's going on 32. He has little knick-knack injuries. They're not seizing any, but you got to think at some point, you know how this goes. You got a big contract. The back end of that never works out well with point guards. Now, Dame's the type of guy that likes to prove people wrong, and I salute Dame, and I hope he has a chance to win a title somewhere else, preferably not the Lakers, but maybe, if the Suns lose Chris Paul in free agency, maybe go to the Suns. Get traded to the Suns, maybe the Clippers could use him. I mean, there are a lot of teams in the West and teams in the East that could use him. I just don't like the idea of trading for a point guard at this point, considering how much that has burned the Celtics. I think what the Celtics need to do is focus on building a more well-rounded roster around Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. Build a more well-rounded. Right now, Brad's made some really good moves. Moses Brown, Horford, move was good. Getting rid of Kemba. No disrespect to Kemba, but he had to go. And I'm sure there's not going to be the only moves. And I'm sure there's going to be some other guys let go in free agency just to clear out more money. We still got Evan Fournier, whether you like him or not. He's still an option to resign. And there's other options as well. So if you're the Celtics, just well-round your roster. Get rid of Tristan Thompson. Get rid of Taco Fall. Get rid of some of that dead weight on the bench. Keep Jabari Parker. Keep Naismith. You keep Langford. You keep Pritchard. And then build around some of those pieces with veterans. Maybe go after a Jeff Green on a cheap one-year deal. Jeff has familiarity with Ime Udoka. He's also has familiarity with the Celtics organization. You're not asking Jeff Green to be a starter. You're not asking Jeff Green to be a huge part. You're just asking Jeff Green to kind of play the role he played in Brooklyn, which is come in, score some points off the bench, be a part, and be a veteran presence. A guy that the veteran presence everywhere he's been the last 4 years in Cleveland. He's been in Cleveland. He's been to Houston. And he's been, for the exception of the Utah stint, Cleveland, Houston, and Brooklyn, he's done well. So you're not asking him to be a starting lineup guy. And I wouldn't mind having Jeff Green in case Jaylen Brown gets hurt or Jason Tatum gets hurt. Now you got a guy in there that knows the offense, he knows he's experienced. Go get him on a cheap 1 year deal. There are other options out there, of course, but he's just one name that I'm mentioning. At the end of the day, I have love for Damian Lillard. I really do. So I just want to make that known. That video I did the other day, shooting down that rumor, was really more just because Brad Stevens is not thinking about trading Jaylen Brown. He hasn't even mentioned it, and we're acting as if like Brad Stevens is Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge probably thinks about doing that move. Danny Ainge ain't here no more, and Brad has a close connection with Jaylen Brown, connection with Jason Tatum, connection with Marcus Smart. It's gonna take a lot for Brad Stevens to be like, I'm gonna let those guys go. I really truly think Brad still thinks we can win with those guys as our core pieces. And I agree. And here also, all those guys are very young except for Smart. Smart's probably about to be 28 going into this season. He's on last year of his deal. I don't know, maybe he gets an extension before the season starts. But for the most part, outside of that, Horford's the oldest player on the team. And we could use a little more veteran presence on that bench. That said, I really like our chances next year. I mean, regardless of where Dame goes. Dame goes to Miami, cool. God bless him. He goes to Charlotte. He goes to, maybe he goes somewhere out west. I want to see Dame win. If he doesn't stay in Portland, I can see Dame win. I just don't want it to be, I loved the Dame Lillard idea 2 years ago. Before we signed Kemba, I remember telling my mans when Kyrie was kind of going AWOL, I wouldn't mind having Dame. And this is around the 2019 season, that tumultuous 2019 season. And I was like, yo, Dame's out there. This is before he signed that 219 deal. I mean, that deal for 250-something mil. He was still kind of there. This is before he hit the shot on Paul George. Now, I was like, yo, I would love to get Damian Lillard at that time, but Dame would have been the best player on our team at that point. Jason and Jaylen were still growing. Now, I kind of like the idea of Jason. You build around wings. Jason and Jaylen are wings. You build around wings and you get a decent big man. You can spread the court. You're always going to be in games. And, as much as I love the point guard that Damian Lillard is, I just don't really think Dame is really what we need right now. We don't need another high volume scoring point guard. What we need is to build our bench, to build our team. You know what I mean? And build around the young superstars. Those guys are young. You guys don't got to like it. Everybody always wants to make the big deal. We'll see in about a year or two when we're in the NBA Finals and we're about to win a title, dethroning one of these old-ass West teams. When you sat there and always wanted to trade for the big name. Celtics don't need to trade for big names. The big names need to think about taking a less role in coming here or going somewhere else. That said, I don't mind a few free agents. As long as they could contribute. Gold Squad TV, leave your comments down below.